Artist Entrepreneur Podcast. We are your hosts, Amanda Ritchie, Noah Dock, and me, Kerry Wee. We're three artists brought together by the love of circus and dance. Amanda from the world of Cirque du Soleil as an aerial soloist, Noah, our academic, and me from the commercial dance world. This is one of the greatest jobs in the world, but it comes with uncertainty. Each episode contains insight on how to pursue art-based businesses. We'll have a variety of guests and have lively weekly Discord. Tune in every week to hear our perspectives on the minefield that is the artist's way of life. So listeners, we had an offline conversation on Monday evening. Sometimes after I get out of class, I text her, and she's 2 hours earlier. I was like, when do you get out? And sometimes we can like coordinate our driving home together, and we like download on the offline stuff. We had an amazing conversation, and we are sans Noah Dock right now because he's in Tel Aviv.
He's being a jet setter.
Brunching.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
How dare he? How dare he be a world traveler extraordinaire with his million entrepreneur like,
he didn't really tell us anything about his trip. And then once he left for the trip, he posted a bazillion stories.
Yes.
And so now we know everything.
Where he is.
We know everything now. So Amanda, give us an update.
I can give you more of a social media update. I know that we've already done the social media update, but it kind of...
Oh, no, but I think that's going to be like a thread through our entire podcast because it's such a big thing in our lives.
Yeah, you know? It's been the gift that keeps on giving, and it's been so weird, and I hate that you guys are right.
I love being right. It's my favorite thing to do.
I hate it. So what happened was I posted a couple of videos of me just teaching the class like I normally do, and one of my students they always tend to film me, and so I was like, hey, can you airdrop that to me? And then I posted it with some captions, and as I did two videos that did really well, one on silks, one on hoop, and the one on silks now has about 30,000 views. It's been saved over 2,000 times. I have about 2,000 likes on it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't have those type of numbers.
Same thing like the hoop one I did. It was about 26,000 views with over 2,000 saves and just...
Oh, you're writing an algorithm. Sometimes they do that.
And I've gained over, I want to say collectively about 1,000 followers.
Wow.
From those two videos, or from the video posted.
I mean, normally I'm right, but I'm never right this fast.
But it's interesting because I've been dealing with some like life stuff, so I haven't been posting, and I might do a car vlog today. I don't know. So I haven't been posting and haven't been like upkeeping with any of that. I was just literally trying to, survive the day at the moment. So I'm curious to see, but I woke up with like 100 new notifications, and I'm curious of how long that wave is going to be. And like, I'm just so flabbergasted by those numbers. Like, what?
Well, honestly, there's not tons of rhyme or reason. Like I've had waves like that, and you know how much I post. Mm-hmm. I've been stuck at 25K for 2 years.
Okay. 25K is still crazy. I'm like...
No, it's wonderful, and honestly...
2,000, like...
Yeah, I don't really think 25K versus 60K is so different when it comes to like reaching the people you need to. But I think it's Instagram's doing. Like, I think that they have situations where they kind of give you, like, throw you a bone sometimes. Mm. The algorithm does. And then, like, most of my friends who have a little bit of a micro influencer following, like 20 to 70,000 followers, they got them in a short amount of time. And then I haven't really seen them budge for a while. Mm. So if you are granted a wave from the Instagram gods, you just have to write it, I think, because there's no rhyme or reason. My friend who's in Pilates for TikTok, and I met her through TikTok. She just went viral, and now she has like 1.5 million on one video, and the videos like before that were like 800 views. Okay, so you've been amazed at the growth. You're just going to ride the wave. No, are you getting, is it getting easier?
Yeah, no, yes and no. I think that if it's a consistent posting thing, it does get easier. But if you like take a day off, it's hard to jump back on again because you can fall back into the old habit of just like living your life and not have to post.
That's a very interesting thing that you bring up because what I have struggled with my whole entrepreneurial life is being able to turn off and turn on when I want it to be on and off.
Yeah.
Because if you do the thing where you're like, I need to use momentum, I keep on going till I die.
Yeah.
That usually doesn't work either. But the whole like, I'm going to take the weekend off or a Sunday off, knowing that I have to somehow restart the engine on Monday.
Yeah.
And no one's forcing me to do so. I mean, I think that people have the Sunday dooms. They say that all the time.
Yeah.
Sunday depression because they have to go back to work the next day.
Yeah.
But the thing that they are not lacking is they might be lacking motivation, but they're going to show up because they have a responsibility or else they're going to lose their job, right?
Well, they also have the security of if they don't show up, like they don't get paid situation, right? Or
well,
it's their job.
It's their job. They'll lose their job eventually if they keep on doing that.
Yeah.
But like,
so the stakes are a little different. The stakes are a little lower for them.
yes. And for us, I do feel like it is a skill set all in its own to decide to take a day, take 2 days,
Yeah.
completely recharge, and then come back with the same veracity or like ferocity. I don't know what the word is.
Yeah.
Then, you know, and have motivation. I think it is a skill set on its own. I think there's a lot of skill sets that what I notice much more in myself now that I have a co-host on a podcast that is not in my business. She has a job. And she says all the time, she's like, you know how to do this and that. Like when we first started working together, she's like, we need to find somebody to do some writing for us. I was like, I can write. She's like, oh, we need to find some producer. I was like, I can produce.
Yeah.
She's like, how about our website? I was like, I can do that. And I was like,
I got it.
and she's like, oh, wow. Because I thought you're just a former dancer who's trying to find a new thing. I was like, well, I guess I'm
multi-faceted because you had to be, you know.
Because I had to be, no choice.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the things on my list that I wanted to end up talking about to you guys was scaling your business.
Yeah.
And we have a very specific niche business, which is online courses, online teacher trainings, in-person teacher trainings. But the thing is that what we've talked about many times is to like, how does a business like ours scale? Because there's just us. We are the business.
Yep.
So how do we duplicate ourselves, basically? Because other businesses, like Noah's plethora of businesses, there's a very obvious scaling strategy for some of them. Like, example, if Red Flags takes off, then he's scaling his business by adding more subscribers, right? He gets more subscribers. The app works like it always supposed to work, but he's just raking in the money, right? There's one way. Right. His photography business. I'm just like making stuff up right now. And Noah, after listening to this, you can correct me. But as a photographer, you can scale by, you know, you take the picture and you start selling your pictures.
Yeah.
And let's just say you have like, I don't know, Getty Images owns some of your images and then people are using them all over the world, all over the country. And then you just get, you know, small residuals here and there, right? You write a book, you're getting residuals. I'm getting Kindle residuals for my book.
Now you have a book. Yeah.
I do have a book. It's pennies, it's cents, but it's like, it's money that I don't work for anymore.
Yeah. Which is cool. Yeah. That's the dream, I feel like. That
is the dream. And if you have a bigger book, a book that people actually have heard of, unlike mine, then you make more. Noah scaling his social media business. How would he do that? He'd hire employees to do the work. There's so many different ways to scale so many different types of businesses. But for us, it is a little bit of a hard nut to crack because we have to somehow duplicate ourselves. And how does one do that? So Amanda and I were having this conversation on Monday because she's much earlier on in her product creation than I am. I created my flagship course. I call it that because it's like not the niche course. It's like the beginner to intermediate aerial silks. That is the meat of what I do. That is what I'm known for. And I wanted to create a course where somebody could basically, now they buy the course, they get all 12 modules at one time, they get all the bonuses that I include, and they have it for the rest of their life. Updates that I make, they get those too, and they pay me. What is my course right now? It's $497.
Okay.
$497 to buy that
What's your
course.
flagship?
That is my flagship course.
Nice.
And sometimes, and on good months, a couple times, I'll get a random Stripe for close to that because Stripe takes a little bit of your money.
Yeah.
And then I send Ace a text. I'm like, baby,
Dinner's on
I sold a course.
dinner's on you.
Actually, it's that one bill we've been waiting to pay. I can do that right now. I did that the other day. Like we got the emergency room bill for Bean cracking her skull open because I didn't put her helmet on her, and I was like, let me just pay for that one.
Let's just do that.
But so let's just do that. So like a lot of that money I take and do.
The important things. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Bean. I'm sorry, but here's like just a tangent side note. The bill for that, FYI, because of her health insurance, we're supposed to pay $250 of that.
Okay.
The bill itself is $3,000.
What?
Yeah,
Our healthcare system is
I know. Stitches. She had 3 stitches in her brow.
$3,000 for a stitch. $1,000 a stitch. Like what?
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll stop talking about it. She doesn't want me to talk about it anymore.
Okay.
It's a bad memory for her.
Sure. Yeah.
As it is for me. I'm traumatized as well.
Trauma. Yeah.
That's what happens to that money usually right now. It's like, oh, I had a parking ticket. Let me pay that. So I created that and I finished it at 8 months pregnant because my goal was to finish that damn product before I had my kid because I knew I wasn't going to be able to focus on it. And let me tell you, well, what I was telling Amanda on Monday is that by the mentorship and guidance of Rachel Bowman, who is my friend and mentor in the business aerial space, she said, look, I could tell you all the things, but it'd be better if you took this course by David Siteman Garland called Create Awesome Online Courses, which she took herself. And the course at the time was $999. And it was a whatever module course. I don't know how many modules, teaching you and telling you exactly what to do to make your own online course. And I took that. And without that, I would be fully lost and confused in the desert of what the hell am I supposed to do? Unfortunately, you can no longer buy this course. He's retired his business, which I believe was a billion with a B business.
Yeah. Sounds like
Yeah. And honestly, after taking it, I would have spent way more on it. I would have.
interesting. So
It solved my problem.
what were some of the things that it solved for you though? Like specific problems in these answers that he gave you?
Yes.
What was that?
So what do I do first? Do I start to create a course first or do I create a following for first? What do I do? And that is one of the first questions he answers. And he has a whole module called the first 1,000 perfect customers. And so what he suggests to do is to build your course, your video, your content, your curriculum at the same exact time as you're trying to get 1,000 emails. That's his number, 1,000. So the email addresses of 1,000 individuals who are interested in what you have to talk about. So it kind of does shift your focus at the beginning because people that I've coached in online courses since then, not officially, but they've asked me for my help. I jump on a Zoom with them and I help them out. I haven't charged for it because I'm not an expert in it. I just kind of like, I had a teacher, I learned, I know what I know now. And so they would be like, oh, I have, 100,000 TikTok followers and I have, 30,000 Instagram followers. And the whole problem with that is that, and this is how he teaches his course, I don't necessarily, I'm not scared of this, but if TikTok and Instagram shut down tomorrow, like TikTok kind of almost did, you're left with nothing. And if you're putting time and potentially money into building those followers to come out with nothing at the end.
Yeah, that's
if I mean, or like Twitter, I decided I don't want to be on Twitter anymore. I have just gave up my followers.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be there anymore. Because, you know, the thought is that these platforms change all the time and we have very little control on how that works.
Yeah.
So his thing was, you do all those things, but the goal is to get people's email addresses.
Yeah.
So one of the very first parts of that course is to learn how to create a landing page.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to get an email address out of as many people who might be interested in what you have to talk about as possible. So first thing I did was I learned how to create a landing page. And I laughed to myself, Amanda, about the first year or two of me taking his course.
Okay.
Because my efficiency and what I get done with my time now, I got nothing done compared to what I can get done now. I think I spent days figuring out how to make a landing page. Days. Because I didn't know anything. And I didn't have a choice. Like I had to like do first step and then go back to the tutorial video and then find another one on YouTube. It took me days. And one of the tutorials, like, you can put this up in 5 minutes, and they would click through and do it. And I was like, I just don't know what you just did. Like, I'd have to slow what you did down like by 20 times for me to figure out what you just did. So I don't know how many weeks and months I spent learning how to make a landing page and then figuring out how to put it on my website and then figuring out how to put it out on all of my real estate on social media. And then slowly I started building my email list, which is still not that big, honestly, compared to what it could be. Emails are hard to get, actually. You kind of have to. Emails are really hard to get. What is your experience with getting emails from people?
Similar, like I'm just now creating I have a landing page for my online, or not for my online, for my app creation program, and I'm creating another landing page for the online stuff. But people, unless they're really interested, they trust that to give emails, because I don't send out junk emails. I don't send out random emails, and it's hard for somebody to trust that you won't do that and spam the crap out of them. And so I always give people like products and things that I'm interested. I always give them my other account that I never check, that is mostly for products that I am interested in but don't really care about and don't really want to be a part of, And so yeah, it's tricky. It's so tricky to get people to trust you enough to like have their email and to treat it properly and not.
Yes, not spam it. Yeah, like you don't give your number out very much anymore because the spam is just out of control. You know what really helped Rachel and Brett at the beginning with this? And with the studio I work at, if you own a studio and people are signing up for class, you get their email address no matter what.
Yeah. And I will say, when I started running my classes at my space, my grounded in flight, when I had my rig up during COVID, that's when I was getting the most emails, because people would have to put them in on the liability waiver. They would have to put them in to sign up for class to get all of that stuff. So I see where that is very, very, very profitable in that area. But to have a space comes with its whole list of things.
Oh, yeah.
There are other ways to get an email list than having a space.
Amanda knows I was thinking about, kind of dreaming about having my own studio as I was in the process of moving before I moved here. And now watching Dara and Claudia, it looks like a nightmare.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I'm not saying it would be impossible for me to do it, but because my needs are getting met, like I have somewhere to train. I have somewhere to teach. I have plenty of say on when I teach and what I teach. I'm like, oh, I'm good.
You're so lucky,
I'm so lucky. Oh my God.
Because I teach at 4 different places, 4 different studios.
It's a lot.
And only one of them am I able to spend as much time as I want to in training. All of the other studios are like, it's not a thing.
LA is just so saturated. I mean, that's the problem.
Yeah, and the one studio that I'm allowed to train at is an hour away from me, so I have to book it if I want to train, you know? And I don't necessarily want to drive an hour just to train and then drive back.
Yes. I mean, for me, it's still, 40 minutes to get there, but, we're moving soon, so that's going to change again.
Yeah.
That is part of the gloriousness of switching to I wouldn't say smaller town because San Antonio is quite big,
Yeah.
but it's a smaller aerial industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's so much less teaching talent here that it works in my favor. And then the other part that I'm lucky about, which I sought out on purpose, was that I knew that was going to be the case. Like especially if I was going to open a studio,
Right.
like I would have so much of my own control of everything. But what I wanted was somebody, at least one person, to be able to really challenge me in a way that makes me go home and I'm like, I don't understand anything they said.
And Dara does that for you.
And Dara does that for me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I have the best of both worlds. And I thought it out. I made sure that was going to be the foundation of what I had. I actually, before I met her and talked to her about being there, I was like, honestly, you guys look full on the schedule. I don't know where I could fit in. And she was like, well, make it fit. I was like, copy that. It's amazing. And then also, I'm trying not to step on other teachers' toes. Like I do I do make an effort to do that. Right. So, but luckily, because it's not the loft has no space. Like the loft 6 years ago, they had no class on Friday night.
Yeah.
Now they have class on every single night of the week. If they had an 8th day in the week, they'd have class on that day. You know what I'm saying? Whereas like here at this studio, it's a little baby compared. It's 2 years in, and they didn't have any 8:15 starting classes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'll take all those times.
Yeah.
It's kind of problematic for her drop-off time for school, but I love teaching at night.
I was going to say, you're used to that.
I'm used to it. Yeah.
Time frame that works. And if nobody else is taking it, then yeah.
Yeah.
LA is just a different beast. LA is so, like you said, oversaturated.
So oversaturated. And there's not a lot of, actually 2 studios just went up recently. But for any studio to be up and survive and keep its doors open, they have to completely fill their schedule with classes or else they're not going to pay their bills. And that's anywhere in the country, but it's really in LA. So it's not like we have a lot of professional spaces where we can there's not a Las Vegas Circus Center in LA.
That we as artists can just go in and just pay a fee and then have it for the whole day. Yeah, that doesn't.
That doesn't exist. I think Las Vegas is very special for that. I think that might be the only place in the country because New York doesn't have that either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
San Francisco, maybe. I don't know.
Places do have residency programs where you can Madison in Wisconsin, they have a residency program where you can go and pay for the month and then you can just use the facility. So that's really nice. And I think Vermont does that too. NECA. I want to say NECA does that. Don't quote me on that. So there are opportunities in other places, but just as I just want to go here for the day. No, I think Vegas is very unique in that way, but it
is very unique. Yes.
You can afford to be that way because of all the revenue, the shows and stuff break in. It's such a entertainment capital of the world.
Yeah. It's just a different structure all around.
And so it works. It has the infrastructure to support that schedule, and we don't.
Yes. Okay. That was a tangent, but I love our tangents. Okay, let's go back to our core thing. So, especially if people are out there trying to make a course, because a lot of entrepreneurs, and it's not necessarily an aerial course. Sometimes my friend's husband just made a screenwriting course. And the one I talk about all the time is Gilbert Hall's rigging course.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Does that still happen? Is he?
Yeah. Oh, you can go on his website right now and buy it.
Okay.
Yeah. And I talk about it all the time because Amanda and I were talking about what the quality needs to be for a course. And I think it really depends because he's one of my favorite examples of this. You know, this man is not super young and he did during the pandemic. And like the quality of the video is like not great. Like he's like basically at his Zoom and you could see him like, you know, pushing off like, you know, like, and like his head is sometimes half cut off because of the angle of the video. But I would buy it like 5 times on Sunday because the information that he has is just you can't get it anywhere else. It's rigging for aerialists. No one else has a product like that. He could be on there doing anything on the video. I would still buy it for the information.
The scratchy white noisy thing, but it's
Yeah.
what he was saying.
His production quality, like I'm not going to, as an aerialist who needs that information, I'm not going to be like, oh, that wasn't HD enough for me. Yeah. Like I need the formula that he uses to calculate the load.
Yeah.
I need to understand that. Like,
which is so interesting because like in our little industry, right? The aerial world, the dance world, where it's so aesthetic, it's so
yes.
You need a certain aesthetic. It has to look a certain way. And to have that idea of you're able to give good information, amazing information, without having a really high production value, that gives me hope. One, because I don't have expensive cameras. I don't have high editing software. I don't have any of that, but I do believe in the product that I'm selling. I do believe in the years of experience that I have, that I've taken from this, the things that I've learned, the things that I've gone through, the things that I'm able to now share. I believe in that wholeheartedly. But I think the thing that stops me is that I don't have that pretty package and like a tight little bow around it. Like I have a hard time also too, just like giving the information in my car and like having that be okay. Like that, I have an issue with that. You know, like if it's not in this place and the thing that I want to see and I have this grand vision for, like I tend to not do it.
Yeah, for the course itself, I did try to stay really consistent throughout the course. Like when I'm just talking, I really try to put a white wall behind me. I try to be in the same space. And I was, you know, this was 6-7 years ago when I was making the course. I used to teach at the loft at night. And I was sans kid yet and had the blessing of Rachel and Brett. And I would just stay.
Yeah.
So I filmed that course into the late hours of the night, just tired. And I just did it with the cameras that I had. Like I had a GoPro that like I was gifted at one point. I just made sure I had the best version of the iPhone. Asa bought me a camcorder at some point, but I used those tools and I had some tripods and I bought myself like an LED light. I bought myself a ring light and I just made it work. And then I would do like all the editing in, you know, Adobe, like video editing. And I would just do my best. Mm-hmm. But it did look consistent. Like module 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, they had the same font, the same background, the same lighting. So that was important to me. At some point I might have to revamp it just because the quality of something 7 years ago at its highest quality is still not what it is today. So at some point I might do that. But the difference between yours and mine, I think, is that, and even Rachel and Brett's, they made something called Master the Silks many years ago before I made mine. And it did really, really well. And now they've kind of replaced that whole idea with a subscription model, which is Silk Stars, which I'm about to fly there next weekend to film for that. Where their structure is like you pay a monthly, it's like an app, but it's not an app, it's a website. And you get a routine from a guest instructor that, they have amazing instructors coming. I think Mizuki, is that how you say her name, from just come in to do?
This is like the Loft Plug podcast. I love it.
I can't help myself. I was there for so long. You know what I'm saying?
Brett and Rachel, you're welcome.
Yeah, no, I give them so much
that's amazing.
They help me so much just by being like, just use the space, do your thing when you can grab the time, you know? And if it wasn't for that, I would never have gotten that first course out, right? So
that's changed. So it's really nice that you were able to have that.
This is what I've heard from other teachers, that sometimes they'll ask me a question. I'll be like, well, why don't you just talk to Rachel about that? They're like, Kerry, you've been like best friends with her since like 2004.
Dynamic.
I don't have the same relationship. And I was like, oh, I guess that's right.
For sure.
It's different.
That's awesome. That's awesome that you guys.
And I take it for granted. I take it for granted because I met her when she was an aerialist and I was a dancer only.
Yeah.
And she trained me. So yes, it's different.
Yeah.
Like I don't realize that I'm getting kind of the VIP treatment sometimes.
Totally. That's
right.
Awesome, though. Hey, when you can take it, take it.
Oh my God, I'm gonna have to edit around myself. We were talking about getting the course off the ground.
If the quality of the video itself has to be the same caliber as the information, like Gilbert's wasn't. The Gilbert's was the quality of the production.
Yes.
But the information was top tier. And so as long as your information is top tier, the packaging doesn't really matter.
I think you have to measure it out by being really honest with yourself about the content you have to give, like you as a teacher, what they're getting from it. And if that's pretty high, then just use the tools that you have to the best of their ability and call it a day. That's my perspective on it.
But it's also the fact that you have to then present it out to your public to see what actually works and what doesn't work. And I think my business coach was the one that gave me this analogy, is that you could start off building a bicycle or even start smaller, like say a skateboard, and then put it out into the world and get feedback on that and make that skateboard better and better and better and better to then it becomes like a sports car. I don't know. Or the reverse of that, you can sit in your shop and create the most perfect sports car for years on end, and then you go and bring it to the public and it's not what they need. Mm-hmm. Whereas the skateboard, it's like you had the information from the public to then make it exactly what they need, right? So it's just different. It's a different way of working. It's a different way of prepping. It's a different, and with each of those comes its own thing, right? So to scale your business just in your little lair, your little den, and not really know what's happening, right? In the vacuum, like you were saying to me on Monday, maybe not efficient way of creating your product, of creating your course, of creating your product. Whereas opposed to, I think other people, like, I don't know if this is your experience of like, you have this, you put it out into the world. You have, okay, maybe it's not doing so well. So you tweak it a little bit, you go put it out. Does this work? Go tweak it, build, and then put it back. Like what are your thoughts on those two ways of working?
Well, what I tweak so much is the marketing. I did not tweak the product.
Okay.
The product for me, different from Rachel and Brett's product was, Master the Silks. It was geared towards intermediate to advanced. Like there's people out there that are scared that they're going to plateau in their practice because they don't have high-level teachers in their city or in their town. Those people are buying their product. My product is a beginner to intermediate product. Like one of the first line items it's the 101s. So if you go to class randomly because your job is so busy and you get taught a footlock 18 times over 6 months and you don't remember it, it's gone. So you can't get farther. You can't, not even take a more intermediate class. Go to that same class and remember what you were already taught so that you can move on to double footlocks and splits. Because all you want to do is a split in the air maybe.
Yeah.
If you buy my course, you will have my instruction of a footlock for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And then you'll have my instruction of a hip key. And then on and on and on. And I go all the way up to a double star.
Okay. Nice.
And a wheel down.
Nice.
Like a real wheel down, not like just wrapping it, like actually doing it. And so it covers like the first couple years, depending on how fast you're going in your practice. Mm-hmm. You could, with my course, buy my course for little less than $500 and then go to in-person classes in your town and supplement your education with it. And I don't know if people use it that way, but if it were me, I would. If I had a regular job and I wanted to get really good at aerial, I would get aerial space and have an instructor there helping me and answering my questions once or twice a week. And I would buy a course like mine and, watch the videos now and then on a regular basis. whenever, or you go to class and you're like, I have no idea what they just said, but I want to know what they did. And maybe it was like a hip key plus something else. There's a good chance it's in my course because it's a beginner thing.
The beginners and feeling like if it's something that they can just watch and listen to retain the information and not necessarily need to have a rig, need to have their own silks, need to have all of
Yes. Yeah. Like just studying.
Yeah. For people who take aerial specifically, like not having access to your own stuff, like not having access to your own silks that you can go and practice on when you have, a big adult job that you can't really spend a lot of time on, that you do this recreationally, but you do want to do the thing, right? So having little studio time or little time that you can actually dedicate to taking classes, it's really nice that you have a package for them to listen to and study, but the practice of and the studying application, those are different to me.
Absolutely. Yep.
So
For me, I think it's a great tool for somebody like for me, my beginners, I have them work on the same stuff week after week until they get it. I don't teach a bunch of crap that they might not retain or be able to do because they don't have a foundation. And that is how I function, because that's how I function. Most teachers do not function like that. You go to a beginning silks class anywhere in the world and they're going to teach you whatever they feel like teaching you that day. And if you can go home and mentally retain your footlocks and your regular climbs and your hip keys, you might be able to do the things that you're being asked to a little bit easier there.
How do you kind of limit that? So if they say they're on module 1 and that's a footlock module, I'm just totally.
Yeah.
And then how do they have access to all the other modules?
Yes.
Or okay.
Yeah, they have it.
Do they have access to you for like questions and all of that? So how do you know if they're ready to move on to the next step? And if they are, like, do you then grant them access, but they already have access to go through it?
No, they have all access. I'm pretty hands off. I'm like their virtual teacher, but this is the thing I wanted to get to, because Amanda's course is very structurally different because she is, in fact, being active with the student. Whereas my courses that are online for sale right now, you take them completely separate of what I'm doing in my life right now. I'm always accessible to them. DM, email, always. Like I answer my email. You guys, I don't have a staff. It's me.
Yeah.
They always have access, but it is mostly a tool that they can use to their own wishes. Because the thing is, from my perspective, they can learn things that are way more dangerous online watching an Instagram video, and there's no vocal instruction. So they're getting vocal instruction on like what I consider very intermediate, like beginner to intermediate from me by buying that. And then I'm hands off on it unless they reach out to me. So that's how I do my courses. And that's why, and that answered the scaling problem for me, because now it's marketing and ads that I put into that. I don't tweak the product. I tweak my marketing. I tweak how many people are being able to click on it because it's sponsored on Google. And then, and that's how I'm scaling it. I also have no emotions around it. Like, I'm not wondering what my virtual students are doing right now unless they reach out to me.
Totally.
So Amanda's is different because she's creating it right now, which is a different beast because it's kind of like years behind me in my work. But Amanda, you are trying to create a version with you in it and one that is a little bit more independent of you. Tell us about that process.
So the course that I'm creating right now with me involved in it is essentially I'm taking my app creation program that I already have in person and I'm putting it onto the online format. So it's the exact same structure of it's an 8-week program, and in that 8 weeks, you'll have a group meeting, like a mastermind meeting with everyone that's in the program, and then you have one-on-one time with me throughout the week. And then once we have our mastermind meeting, then you get the access to the next module. So it's a very much like I'm in control of setting the tempo and the pacing of this. And so that everybody's kind of on the same page, and then we can bounce ideas off of each other and have each other as a network at the end of this. But I did, so that's the program now, and that'll That's going to happen. That starts April 1st for those next weeks after that, 8 weeks. But then to turn that same product into a platform where it doesn't involve me. So to have people sign up for the online act creation program, so you get step-by-step instruction of how to create your act. There's no guesswork involved. I give you all of that. You just, but like kind of like yours, you buy the course, you take it and do it as your own will. You don't get me unless you like specifically reach out to me and ask me for things or to book me out personally, or there's no mastermind group. It's literally just the information and that's it. So those are the two variations of the same program.
Yes, I think this is great. And some of the things we were talking about that can be very challenging with this, mostly the most challenging part, which is why my teacher training, I did a pre-launch and I did it as a hybrid of virtual and in person. And I realized, as great as I had a time with it, it's not the right structure. And Amanda's trying to figure out how to do the structure with online, but also virtual, like actually talking to people at the same time. So we talked about Aaron Cause. We talked about Paper Doll Militia and how their structures are completely opposite. Paper Doll Militia, so Rain and Sarah Holmes, when they do, I think their fully online version, it's like, I don't know if it's 8 or 12 weeks, but it's like everyone who is taking that course is on the same 8 or 12 weeks. And they do their homework via Zoom, via time in the studio where they do the video and they send it in as their homework, etc. They do that. They have something called a time zone calculator that I don't know where it came from, and I still haven't asked about it. So I need to ask them about that.
Yeah.
Aaron Cause, who's a straps guy, he does rolling courses that he starts people when they want to start, and he does the Zooms with them, and it is very hands-on, but he doesn't start everybody at the same time, and they're not done at the same time.
Yeah.
And I probably need to ask him as well how that works. So that's going to be on my homework. The third, I should mention, third and fourth, Aero Physique has an in-person and they have a fully online one. And then NECA has an in-person one, I believe. So I think this is a really tough question.
Yeah.
Personally, which is why I haven't figured out mine yet.
Yeah. Me personally, I like the idea of how Aaron does his with the rolling. I like the idea of that. Practically, like the practicality of it for right now, right here, right now, for me, the way that having it structured, everyone starts and stops at the same time, is what's more accessible to me right now in this course and more accessible to people. Because reality is that I've only done one social media push for this online act creation. And so far, I've only gotten people interested that are already in my area. So the time zone calculator isn't necessarily needed at the moment in a weird way. So essentially, it's just taking like the people who can't drive to wherever I'm at for those 8 weeks, like once a week, like they now get to do it at home. Essentially.
Yes, and they can get studio time on their own and do all that
stuff. So it's working out. Like I said, I've only done one post. I'm only like in the beginning stages of marketing it, but that's where I'm at right now. If I market it further and I get people like overseas, like that's a different story of how to. I think that's when it gets really confusing and really jumbling, is when you have people from all over the world that are doing this all at the same time. And I would love,
which is, I think, the goal, a goal, right?
That is the goal to having an online program, is that you can open up your demographic worldwide. And so that is absolutely the goal. But for right now, for me, I'm only getting local people anyway. So having that be a structured, we all start and stop at the same time makes sense at the moment. But going on to the rolling platform, like, do you just have a meeting with them once a week when they're in their program? And if so, like, how does that match with your schedule? Like, because I can imagine that being very chaotic and very just.
I have to confirm with Aaron, but I think that he has like a standing time during the week.
That if they can't make that in
Yes.
your SOL kind of a thing.
Something like that. But I will ask him. The other thing I wanted to say is that teacher training versus act creation, I think that the demographic of people, it would lend itself to being more local to you if you live in LA. If you lived in somewhere like Vegas, same thing. Because the people who are at the point in their career where an act creation workshop would make sense for them, they're not necessarily spread all over the world. Like teacher training is like, I'm in Minnesota and I want to do a teacher training because the studio down the street, I could get a job.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that in like one city. You're not going to get a bunch of budding teachers in one city. It just doesn't work like that, I don't think.
Well, it's interesting because fielding some just on that one post that I created, I was getting more inquiries about people who are not necessarily geared to performing, but they want to teach. They want to teach.
Oh, okay. And they want to use that information as a teaching tool.
Exactly. And so that was a really interesting perspective that has just come up like yesterday.
I think that a good portion of my students that have bought my flagship course are actually just teachers who are trying to learn how to
teach.
do the things.
Yeah.
But the thing is that that's why I want to make my teacher training course so different, because it is. It's like I want to do a teacher training course. This is my goal for it. Like my Pilates teacher training was for me. So my Pilates teacher training was like a 500-hour course.
Wow.
You sit and lecture. You have anatomy class. You have lectures on the equipment. You have lectures on the
safety, the rig.
And then you have to watch teachers teach, and then you have to practice teaching. And a lot of those hours are you teaching, somebody who paid the studio $20 to have a training teacher teach them Pilates.
Yeah.
And you have to do it.
Yeah.
Versus you have to do it. You can't just be lectured.
Yeah, agreed. And that's why I have a really strong opinion on teacher training and certifications in general, like
Yes.
And I will go on record, I think they're absolutely bullshit. Sorry.
All of them?
For aerial teacher training.
Okay.
Not for something like Pilates and things like that. Like, that's different. Even if there was a ballet teacher certification out there in the world, there's not that I know of. But even if there was, I would have more respect for that, and I would have more. It would have more validity in my eyes than an aerial teacher training for a few different reasons, right? Because aerial is so vast. It's so subjective in a way where people, even the names of things, right?
Yes.
Pilates, it's the same name. It's the same things all over across the board. Ballet, it's the same vocabulary across the board. Aerial, we have one thing with 5 different names attached to it, right? So it's really difficult to even just pinpoint that. And then to teach it, you have to do it. You have to do it for a long period of time. You have to know how to teach in any scenario, and to teach that in like a 10-hour certification course is bullshit to me. It's bullshit.
Well, that's the thing. There are courses that are 10 hours, and that's why I wanted to do what would amount to like a
4-year program. I would agree.
Like a 200-hour like yoga certification. That's what I want to do with my teacher training.
Yeah.
What I learned is, holy moly, I don't know if I'm going to make money like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's where the rub is. That's why I am in the middle of creating that product, and it will take me a while, probably years, which is okay because I'm doing a lot of other things right now, and it's okay. I think one day, Amanda, I'm going to jump on this podcast. I don't know how long from now, and I'm going to be like, I figured it out.
Like I did it.
What I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I think that might happen. I don't think all of them are BS, and this is why. Not to say because I think that it's answering all the questions that you just posed, but because if you are, for example, a teacher here in San Antonio, and you want to teach and you want to do all the things, but you're like, 3 years into your aero practice and you're strong. And if you go take, for example, the paper doll militia course, if you take aero physique or NECA, the studio owner would have at least a baseline of knowing what you just did, because those brands are well known. Like, those books are well known. Like, you'll know they actually can do at least a certain amount. And then the rest of it, they're going to have to learn as they go, right? It's not, you're not going to get somebody like me or somebody like you. But Amanda, think about it this way. If they were less bullshit and more of what we're talking about.
That's the thing. If it was less bullshit, and I don't mean that those people that you just mentioned, like NECA and all of those people, like, I do believe that they are very knowledgeable, right? They're very knowledgeable in their sense, and I'm sure their courses are incredible. But just for instance, right? There's no test that they have to pass. There's
no. You're absolutely right.
Right, and so it
doesn't grade you as the person, the student. It just says something about the course that you took.
So here's the thing.
Right.
I have an issue with, right? So I had a girl actually come into my Hoop 2 class. And she's like, oh, I haven't done Lyra in like a month. And I was like, that's okay. Take it at your own pace. She's like, but I just did this teacher training. And she gave me the name of the teacher training. I was like, oh my God, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. She couldn't invert. She could not do a straddle invert properly, nor could she know what the running man, i.e. walking man, i.e. whatever that simple pose was. She had no idea what it was. I'm like, how the fuck did you take this certification?
Amanda doesn't cuss on here a lot. No, she has feelings about this.
I'm very opinionated about this.
I know.
But I'm like, how in the world did you get certified from this well-known place and you can't do this? I'm sorry. What? So either there's a misfire there. Either she just paid her way and she's like, oh, I'm just going to haphazardly do the course and say I took the course and now I'm certified to teach. Or like the program itself isn't keeping track of who's actually they're certifying to be teachers, to making sure that they're actually going through the course properly and getting what they need to take out of it.
Agree. Also, I have 2 different certificates. One that says you completed the time.
Yeah.
And then one that says you're certified by Wrap Your Head Around Silks.
Yeah. But can you imagine going into a studio that doesn't really know and they
know the difference? Yes. Yes, agree.
Like, now this person is going to teach a whole other group of people in a really scary way. I have a problem with that.
I agree. But this is my caveat. I don't think... I think that person would have started teaching anyway.
Maybe.
At least she's got a little bit, but like, I don't know. I'll tell you, this is not about teaching.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the teaching thing, but this is what scared me. And I actually had a really bad class. I didn't have a lot of bad classes at the Loft, but this is one of them. And the thing is with the Loft is we attract a lot of people traveling to come in to take at the Loft because it's famous, right? So this is
it's okay.
Shout out to you. You're so
free advertisement for that.
Woman comes in. She's a dancer. She's beautiful. She's fit. She's capable of things, but she hasn't touched a silk for years. And we started kind of like butting heads right away because whatever I was teaching the rest of the class, she wanted to do. I was like. And I get to know them a little bit for this reason. I was like, when's the last time you touched a silk? And she told me, she was honest. Yeah. But I was teaching 4 other people out of 8 or out of 10 a double star that day because they had been taking my class for many, many months.
They were ready. They were prepped for it. Yeah.
They were prepped for it. And she had done it in the past. And I didn't, and I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't teach it to her.
Yeah.
I wouldn't remind her of it. I wouldn't walk her through it. And man, she was not a happy chick. She probably She probably emailed Rachel and Brett after that and never came back. And this is a shout out to them. What I love about them is they always had my back. And I'm sure the woman emailed, and I'm sure they didn't even bother telling me.
Right.
Because they have my back and they know what I was doing in there. I was like, you don't have the recall right now up that high to not mess up.
Yeah.
We can do very little save them up there when they're that high.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, almost the number 0 things we could do.
I know. It's
scary.
It's very scary.
I didn't even think too hard about it. I used my instincts and I said, I'm not going to teach you that.
Yeah.
And she's like, that's your job, to teach me things. She said that. And I wanted to be like, bitch,
like
we need to talk about this.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's your life, and you're on my watch, bro.
Exactly. It's your responsibility. It's your responsibility as a teacher and your liability. So if something happens to her, you're now reliable.
Well, they sign waivers, but
totally, but still, like,
yeah, like I want to be able to, if something gets to a court of law, say that I used my intuition and I made a decision based on everything I knew.
Yeah.
Which I asked her questions to know this. How's your body feel today? Where are we at? Like, do you feel like you have the capacity of your entire body today?
Yeah.
How about your mind? I had somebody show up high once.
Oh, I've had that too.
Like,
I've had that.
Like really high.
Like, what are they thinking? No. No.
Yeah. Or they went to get a drink at happy hour. I don't know if that was a drink. It might have been 2. You know what I'm saying? Like,
even if it's a drink, absolutely not.
That's why I probe. It's like, absolutely not. It is a big question of structure versus the viability of the product.
Yeah.
And your ability to make money on the product.
Yeah.
And there's a sweet spot, but for every type of product you have, the spot is different. Because if it's a creation where you're involved versus when you're not involved, if it's a teacher training and you're doing a hybrid of Zoom and in person, maybe you're not doing in person at all and you're doing all Zoom all across the world. It's like the money has to be in line with what courses out there cost.
Yeah.
And then it also has to be in line with how much time we're spending.
Yeah.
And putting into the course and being able to make the money back. So, I mean, I think this is a ongoing question. I have a course called Aerial Rehab, which is a smaller course than the flagship course. But I will make my teacher training at some point. It might not be in the next couple years. It might be in the next decade of my life. It's so important for me to do it like my Pilates training was. And I just have to figure out how to make the money if it's going to be like that.
I mean, you could do like a tuition-based thing and have it actually be a proper schooling, like.
I mean, Amanda, you tell me, do you think people would invest that much money in it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Would they? It's a question.
It is a question. I want to say yes because I know how valuable that is, and I know that no other program exists like that. And so to have a crop of teachers that come from an actual proper schooling background to know and do the things properly is so valuable. But if you're somebody out there that's just like, I want to do this, and then they find they find a program that's a little bit cheaper, and then they find your program, they're probably going to go with a cheaper rate. I don't know. I'm just speculating, but it's tricky.
I think it's going to be a combination of me doing that and then really meeting that with the curation of my perfect client, because it has to be a particular person. And for that to be valued, the studios that are going to hire you have to see the value in somebody coming in who also asks for more money.
Yeah.
Because why would you invest that much money if you're going to make $25 a class at your local studio?
That's the thing. Studios need to get better at that. Across the board, like, studios just need to get better about paying their teachers. And I don't know why that's not a thing. And I'm not a studio owner yet. But I'm sure, like, when I dive deep into that world, I'll kind of understand a little bit more of why they pay teachers the way that they do.
Well, I think the bottom line is that they're making no money. I think the insurance is so high. I think the front end of making a business like that could cost $100,000. And by the time you're running your first 2 years of classes, you have no wiggle room. I mean, from watching the people that I've been very close to, watching, open a studio, I think that's the first answer. But also, I think the answer for me is that it's weighted. So if I come into a studio, I'm going to get paid more, and I should be. And so should you. And somebody who just started should get paid less, and they'll build from there.
1,000.
So I think that is the new answer for me, is that not all teachers are equal, and that I can charge more and you can charge more. And the people that just start, you guys can charge less and feel okay about that and not feel shamed about that.
Yeah.
I think it's okay.
Yeah, but in terms of what they're willing to pay to get that knowledge to then become the teacher that they're only going to get paid $20 for, like, it's if you find that perfect person, that perfect, group of people that need this and that'll get everything from it, like, run with it, soar with it.
Here's the last bit of it. I know you have to go. Here's the last bit. If you can not necessarily promise or guarantee, but I have an implicit guarantee. I have an implicit promise with my new studio owner that she's going to pay me a certain amount, and it's going to be worth it.
Yeah.
I'm going to pack my classes. I am going to retain all my students as much as I can, like high percentage, 75, 80%. And I'm going to make every choice she's made in my contract 100% worth it. And teachers like me and teachers like you, if we can promise that to studios, we're going to be able to offer that.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's make sure we can put a button on the end of this podcast. So, you know what I'm saying? But definitely to be continued on this, because we both have courses. I think this is a great thing to talk about while Noah's gallivanting around Tel Aviv.
Thank you so much for tuning in. You can find Amanda Ritchie at Grounded in Flight on Instagram and at Noah Doc on Instagram, as well as a Red Flags app. And me, Kerry Wee, you can find at wrapyourheadaroundsilks.com. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. We have so much more coming at you, including guests that are in this art world, that are blazing their way through new businesses, and just more banter from us. Thank you for listening. This is The Artist Entrepreneur.